Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Art Journal Sunday Prompts. And the theme for today is, when did you find your voice? Meaning, when did you turn from, if you ever were an insecure person or someone with low self-esteem, when did you switch over and become strong and find your voice? Some people might have been born that way. They're just, a strong, independent, confident woman or man. But it seems to me the majority of us weren't. And so at one point, did you ever switch over and realize, I have a voice, I'm important, and it matters? And for those of you where that hasn't happened yet, and it will, trust me, it will. If you trust yourself and trust your voice, it will happen. And it's such a wonderful, amazing revelation when it does. While you're putting the scrap pieces of paper down, I want you to just kind of imagine that this is all the junk and crap that gets in the way of you speaking up for yourself. And we're getting rid of it and we're putting it on our paper because that's not going to happen anymore. It's just not. I have so much scrap pieces here, and they're all little things that just scraps, but the scraps themselves are symbolic of your voice. When I'll tell you guys, when I first found my voice, I used to work in education, and I worked in special needs classroom, and these kids were very, very special needs. They couldn't talk at all, and some of them were still diapered, although they were 5 and 6 years old. They were very sweet little guys, sweet little kids. And the teacher that they had didn't really want that placement. She didn't want to be in that particular classroom because, granted, it is a heavy duty, so a lot of work, a lot of work. Anyone that works in special education knows how much work it is. So whenever she would, meet with a parent or meet with the principal or whatever, and then, she'd close the door and class would begin, which really was just a matter of feeding, modeling for them, showing, those kinds of speech therapy and all that. She would be so angry, and she would literally take the little kids' chairs and kick them across the room, and it would scare the kids so much. So there was me and this other teacher aide in the room, and we'd look at each other and we're like, that is just cruel, because she's scaring the kids and they have no idea what's going on, and this is really inappropriate. But here we are, kind of, under her supervision, so what are we going to do? But I would go home and it would really, really bother me. Some of the things that I saw her doing, it was just wrong. Just plain old wrong. So we would kind of sabotage her a couple of times. But I think of some of the things we did. But whatever, she deserved every bit of it. She would say it's paint center for the kids. And so, okay, we'd pick up the paint. But there's this one pink tempera paint. Any teacher that knows tempera paints will know it. It's the one that stains everything. So we set up the paint station, and of course these kids are special needs. They're not exactly going to be tidy, right? So she was going to supervise the painting, so we made sure it was the most messiest dye-centered paint, and of course they spilt it all over her, and oh my God, that just sent her into kind of a bit of a crazed rage, which was not our intention, because she took it out on the kids. And I just was amazed at how a teacher could be so cruel. But at the time, I was I had really low self-esteem, never spoke up, always agreed, tried to please people. Not the person I am today, believe you me. So finally, I couldn't take it anymore, and I set up a meeting with the principal. And I mean, it took everything. I was almost sick to my stomach, because I kind of laugh now, because now I wouldn't have any qualms at all about that. But this was a life-changing moment for me. And I was sick to my stomach, but I went into the principal and I told him what I had observed and how much it really, really bothered me. And so he actually sat up, paid attention, and really listened to what I had to say. And then I realized I had power in my voice. And I wasn't tattling on her. Well, I guess it kind of was. But at the same time, my goal was looking after those children. So he set up from that point on weekly meetings with us and her in the room just to check on how things were going. He was really kind of looking after her too, because maybe it was just too stressful of a situation for her. So every meeting he would look at me and he'd say, "So how were things this week?" Like I was the important person of the, kind of like the chairperson of the meeting. From that point on, I swear I did a complete 180. I was so confident in saying what I had to say because I felt I made a real difference in those kids' lives. And I went on from that point to become the president of the support staff. So for the union, I was the entire union president. I went to all the meetings with all the superintendents of education. Didn't have any I just completely blossomed from that point on. And it was just a matter of just speaking up for something that I just felt was not right. And you know what? You don't have to wait until it's something like that. Simply speaking up when somebody says, "Oh, do you want to come with me, and do you want to help, and you want to do this, and do you want to volunteer," and you're so burnt out, just simply saying, "No, I'm sorry, I can't," is people respect people when they speak up. You know that disease to please? That's not good. People are looking, they kind of hunt you out because they know you're not going to say no. You're the one they want. Just open up your mouth and say, I'm sorry, I can't. And if you can't say that, one thing that I learned, say, "Can I get back to you?" Because then it gives you a little second, because sometimes people just kind of bombard you. "Oh, what are you doing?" First thing they say, "What are you doing Friday night?" Don't ever say nothing. Because then you've opened yourself up for whatever they're going to ask you, right? "What are you doing Friday night?" And you say, "Oh, how come?" And then they say, "Well, we're doing this fundraiser, and we really need someone like you to chair the blah, blah, blah. Can I get back to you?" And then you get back to them. "I'm really sorry. I can't do that. I'm busy that night. I might be busy doing nothing, but I'm busy because I can't put that on my plate, and maybe I need a night of doing nothing." So I just found that the minute you found your voice, it's like being reborn. So I was just curious, when did you find your voice? When did you find your power and your strength and believe it? When were you brave? When was the first time you really realized, hey, I am important, I have a voice? So I've glued down all my background. I'm going to let that dry. I want you guys to have a rag or paper towel rolls really good too. And we're just going to add some gesso randomly all over the page. Now, this is a hard kind of page for me to kind of tell you how to do. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just a guide. Just a guide. So you're just going to take gesso, and gesso whatever feels good. I might gesso the whole thing and then wipe some off. This paper and junk we have underneath adds an amazing amount of texture to your page. I hope you guys are enjoying these prompts. I know they're helping me because it kind of makes me think during the week, okay, what's the next prompt going to be? And it's a good one for me because it helped me with these same questions that I'm asking, prompting to you. Ooh, I like that. Just by using a towel, it gives it kind of, I don't know if you can see it, I'll hold it up closer to the camera. But it kind of, can you see? Kind of gives it little blotchy marks. So now I'm going to look at this as it's drying, and I'm thinking of what I might want to draw here. Before I even go any further, I'm just trying to see what I see in the, I'm going to turn it upside down so you can see. And like right here, this little piece of collage with the flower, that kind of looks like a person. So I might make that into my person over here. Do you see what I mean? So you look at yours and see. You may not want to draw. You may do whatever you want to do. You might just want to do this and then gesso all over the page. Or another thing, this is something that Susie Blue used to do about art journaling. People that have all these reasons why they can't. Write down all the things that got in your way or still get in your way of you finding your voice. Write it all down on the blank page. Everywhere. Fill that page if you can. And then gesso over top of it. And then write the reasons why you did find your voice or you can find your voice. And don't be afraid. Go for it. Nothing's going to happen. The sun still will come up. The sky will still be blue. You know, even if somebody's a little disappointed in you, not your problem. That's their issue. So, be brave. Find your wings and fly. Can you see this lady here? Look at her with her, there, her. See? And then I only wanted one person to represent me, but somehow this little friend kept popping out. She was peeking over here. So of course I gave her eyes and gave her a little hat to match, you know, it was on there already. And I just took a pencil and went around and sketched what I could see. And that's what I could see. Very cool. Love this. So now I'm going to take some of my liquid acrylics and kind of, first of all, define my little girls first, and then I'll do the rest of the background. So I hope you can see how these images are coming through here. I'm just going to continue painting these girls. I want to do some stamping in the background. I've got some amazing Unity stamps that really, really speak to being brave. And as soon as I do a little bit of background painting here, I will get them out because they really are pretty. And you know, one lovely thing about liquid acrylics, if you're going to do a lot of mixed media and stuff like that, I really recommend that you go by your art store and start with the basic colors. You know what I always do? I always think of the rainbow. So the first time I'll buy red and orange, and then I'll buy yellow and green, and then blue and purple, so it's not so expensive. Not that they're expensive, but just, you know, to kind of control your urge to go buy all of them. Just start with the basic colors. Maybe get a burnt sienna. That's what this one is. That's a nice brown color. And go like that. And then pretty soon you've got all the colors that you want. And oh, another thing I want to say about translucent paint. When you paint on it, if you have something underneath, you can still see what's underneath. Like you can see I'm painting this polka dots, you know, to make it match. And if I wipe some of that off, you can still, can you see? The polka dots are still underneath. That is the beauty of liquid acrylics. They're just not as thick and as opaque as the acrylic paints that we all know. So I'm having so much fun with this page. I just put a whole bunch of bright colors all over it, but I really wanted to define my ladies that popped off the page to me, and so I'm sensing that this girl is talking to this one here about being brave and just basically what I was saying to you guys. So this stamp is a bird, and the bird is outside of the cage, sitting on top of the cage. So I'm going to stamp that right on there with StazOn ink. So there's our little bird, and you see how the door is open to the bird cage? So I am going to have her speaking, and she is going to say, "No caged birds." There, no caged birds. See? How fun. So there's a bird there, no caged birds. So now I'm going to continue down. I might tone some of this down. I might add a little bit more text on it. I'm going to take some acrylic paint and color her hair in black because I don't have black liquid acrylics. I'm just going to take some regular acrylic and do her lip color. I could probably do that now with my Tim Holtz Distress markers. This one is Barn Door, and it's a nice red color. And then I'll just carry on with these little chicks. Give her some dark brown eyes. And this one is Vintage Photo. She looks surprised. But it's not like these girls were, you know, aesthetically planned out. It was just what I saw in the images. This marker that I'm using is called, it's by Faber-Castell, and it is the letter M. And the great thing about these Faber-Castell markers, you can draw and trace, and it's not going to smudge anything when you go back over them. So that's what's kind of nice about them. Okay, I want to show you what I've done so far. So on this side, I told you that I outlined, I colored her hair with black acrylic paint. Then I took out my Unity stamps and just played around. I showed you I did No Cage Birds. Then here it says Today is the Day. And then on the hem of her skirt, it says Now is the Time. And then I have a stamp that says Brave, the definition of. And at the very top of this page here, it says Come Fly with Me. So what I'm going to do now, I took some words out of the computer, like I often tend to do. So I'm going to put the top of my pen here, and I'm just going to cut them out. And the first one, say Find Your Voice, and they're really tiny. They're in like 12 point on the computer. So I'm going to cut them out in small little squares. I'm going to put them right here. Find Your Voice. Right in her little hat. And in that sort of circular here, I did my journaling, and it's basically everything that I just said to you about finding my voice, what I talked about when I first found my voice when I was in that classroom, and that's exactly what I journaled about. Because if you remember at the beginning of this art journal, I said that I'm going to try, if I can, to find a spot to actually journal. That's a challenge for me. Make sure I write down what my picture means. So I wrote it in there in that little square. And you know, I can't tell you guys enough how that one incident changed me. I went from that to, another thing I used to love to do was sing. But I would only sing by myself in the basement. There were 7 kids in our family, so that was kind of my time to myself. I would go downstairs, put on old records, and sing away by myself. Love to sing, love to sing. And right after this incident, then someone asked me if I wanted to join this adult musical theater group. So I went, and I thought it was like choral singing, everyone singing together. And then when I got there, the teacher asked everyone, she wanted to hear their voice and what key they were in, so would they sing a little solo. And out of the 27 people, I was the last one to go. And oh my goodness, these singers were phenomenal. They were from the DeCapri Singers. They had their music. Could you put it in the key of this? I was petrified. But after I had had a little bit of courage from this, I got up and I thought, I can do this. So I sang an old song, like Go Tell Aunt Patsy, that my grandmother used to sing to me. And from that moment then, I went on to be in the lead role of musicals. I was the lead, playing to people that bought tickets to come and see the musicals. So finding your voice is finding power. So here it says, I am owning my power. So here's my finished page about not being afraid to use and first find your voice and then use that voice. Own your power. That's why you have a voice. So I just want to show you what I did. I used a stencil to make some polka dots on her dress. It was a white acrylic paint. I should have kind of moved it around so they weren't so symmetrical, but that's all right. It says now is the time. And then what else did I do? I had done the words. I put bling on her little bow. And then I took just some of the burnt sienna paint and I dipped it in a lot of water, washed it off, and then took a cloth and squished it all off again. So you can see how it toned down some of that bright red. And you can see it here on the text here. The only reason the text is here is because it was left over from me covering up the top of the collar of her dress. Today is the day. No cage birds. And then you can see the little black dots on there. I just dipped a little paintbrush in black paint, then in water, and just kind of flicked it all over the page, just like that. Just shook it on the page, just to add just even more background texture, you know me. So who would ever know that underneath all of this, it's so thick now, is all that garbage and stuff. It's so cool. All that garbage that we carry around, reasons why, well, I don't want anyone to not like me. I don't want anyone, if I say no, then, oh, they're not going to like me, or they're going to judge me, or they're going to think, what kind of woman am I? What kind of mother am I? Do you know what? Something I realized a while ago, many years ago, not everybody on the planet is going to like you. But guess what? You don't like everybody either, so it's okay. It is okay. Be your authentic self. Be who you want to be. If you want to be that person that volunteers for every committee and you thrive on that and you love it, then do that. But if you don't and you feel yourself being burnt out, or you go and do these things, and then you come home and you've got a pile of laundry and there's only so many hours in the day, and your husband, you're not spending time with your husband, you're not spending time with your kids, then you might have to reconsider and find your voice and find your power and find where you need to be. You don't have to be doing things because you're afraid of what somebody else will think about you. Worry about what you think of you, or what the people closest to you, what you're doing for them. You number one. Look after yourself. No more cage birds. Get out of that cage. This bird's a little smooched, but that's okay. I love my ladies that I found on this page that I had no intention of drawing. I seriously didn't. They were just there. And I really only wanted one lady, but this little chickie, her friend, popped up. So it seems to me she's saying, find your voice to her and get out of the cage, and she's going to try to own her power. So let's all do that. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and we will see you next Sunday for another Art Journal Sunday prompt. Have a great week. Bye for now.